Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Free Mike. My name is Octavian and I will be your host, shoutcaster, and commentator extraordinaire today. Whew, that was fun to say fast. Anyways, hello, welcome back. My name is Octavian. For those of you who remember this series, I know it's been a little while since the last one. I think about maybe 6 or 7 months at this point, but while I apologize for the absence, I plan on coming back in grand style here. And for those of you who are new to the series, welcome. This is where I talk about video games and you watch them. So it's really not much more in depth than that. Usually I'll take some high-level challenger or solo queue matches to talk about, or challenger solo queue matches, where the Venn diagram sort of meets, and the Venn plus the diagram makes for some really awesome League of Legends gameplay. Speaking of which, I'm hoping that's what we'll be getting today, because while All-Stars was going on, we of course, over here in North America, had some absolutely wonderful players guesting, because of course they had to play on the All-Stars stage, and some of those players are here in the game with us today. Greynote 5 is not actually Greynote 5, but rather, you folks probably know him better as Madlife. And so we're going to be having a absolute dream lane in the bottom lane today. Pardon me. With Wild Turtle on AD carry and Madlife on support. The amount of people who would just kill to see that match, to see that duo, rather, on their team of choice. TSM fans, CLG fans, any team would love to have that as their bottom lane, doesn't matter who. And, well, Red Team gets it today. Not exactly a professional level team, I'm assuming, but it's going to probably work some pretty magical wonders for them. Speaking of magical wonders, we also have Faker taking up residence in his lane of choice, playing on his NA Smurf, I Have a Candy. These accounts were given to them by Riot Games while they were guesting over here in America, so that they could sort of just practice in solo queue. There's debates on whether or not the efficacy of practice in North American solo queue matches up to that of practice in Korean solo queue, but it's practice either way, as we have some shots traded back and forth here between Epic Shots, no relation to the channel you're currently watching, by the way, and Faker on LeBlanc. And this is actually a matchup that I wanted to talk about here. Whoa, actually, we have a gank here from Lee Sin, but taking charge of the situation, Faker's going to be taking first blood as well, as Central Time comes in a little bit too late with the safeguard to save Morgana's life. That was just faster than I could even cast it. And you know, I can talk pretty quickly sometimes, especially about League of Legends. It has been a little bit since I've casted, so please do forgive me if I drop a play-by-play here or there, or misuse the name of one of the new items, as I'm still getting used to the preseason patch, as I believe a lot of players, casters, and everyone having to do in the League of Legends scene is. There's been so many drastic changes, as there always is in the preseason. It's sort of Riot's sandbox mode, which, but I would love to have one of those. Riot. There's the double stun from Cobra Cabbage, going to be following up that with a flash away, but 2001 chase him down with a flash of his own, and that'll be another kill going over to Red Team, this time to Rek'Sai. Wild Turtle now caught way out of position. I am not sure what he was doing that far forward, but he is paying for it dearly. There's no way to ambush your way out of a Lee Sin's area of vision. Ironically, for the champion design, one of the best at gaining vision on stealthed enemies. I'm assuming he just kind of hears them sneaking up. Twitch isn't very quiet when he sneaks up to enemies, to be fair. He always giggles about it or shouts at you when he comes out of invisibility. One of the first champions that Riot really put a lot of effort into the visual and audio aspect of the rework. And they've been doing that ever since, with, I guess, the most recent addition is Poppy and other champions who have had those sort of touch-ups and makeovers. They put a lot more thought, effort, and, I suppose, money and time into building these new champions from the ground up, and old champions as well. But there is a 2v1 going on in the bottom lane, and as most 2v1s end up, the 2 comes out on top. Wild Turtle picking up a kill to make up for his snafu earlier on in the lane, as him and Madlife are now going to try and push those minions out as hard as possible and capitalize on that potential advantage. One thing I did want to talk about, though, and I think I was going to start in on this track when First Blood rolled around a few minutes ago, is the matchup in the mid lane. Not particularly the player matchup, as I don't believe Faker has actually faced off against this particular denizen of North American solo queue, but rather the champion matchup, because there is some history there, especially for Faker. There's some nice damage onto epic shots, I suppose. Faker running a little bit low in mana, though, as we pop up to the top lane once again, where Covert Cabbage, with that counter-strike, is going to be stunning up 2001. Leap strikes away. Lots of strikes for this Jack. There's the flash in from Toontown. Lands the slow from Equilibrium Strike. I'm going to try and maybe dive under this turret. No. No, not with Lee Sin coming around the corner. And Jack's a bit too far away for them to actually make anything further happen. There is the Sonic Wave Resonating Strike. 2001 going to burrow his way to safety, though. And it's just going to end up with a bloodless trading of blows on both sides. Faker gets bound up a bit, and maybe I could finally get off that thought that I had stored up for this mid lane. Ooh, another binding onto Faker. He's taking some pretty heavy chunks of damage here. He's going to have to back up if he doesn't want to go down. Oh, never mind. He's not backing off at all. There's the double distortion, and he's going to be distorting back once again. Epic Shots lives through the Ignite with Dangerous Game. And a little bit of Spell Vamp from simply being Morgana. Beautifully played. But by both sides, really. I mean, Faker was starting that fight on a 3rd health, and he nearly won it. But nearly is not good enough. Close only works in hand shoes and horse grenades, folks. Toontown gonna be going down, as we have another kill in the bottom lane as well that I didn't get time to talk about because I wanted to make a terrible joke. That is where my priorities lie as a shoutcaster. That is where priorities should always lie as a shoutcaster. 2001 with a quick chomp. Doesn't care about magic damage shields. Has true damage. And gets the kill. Covert Cabbage, that's a turret. You might want to back away. Chenful time now coming in onto 2001. Gets knocked up in the air by the Unburrow. Faker going to be coming from the corner with the second distortion. Will close the gap. Another Ethereal Chains will take down the kill. And that is shut down gold going over into Rek'Sai's pockets. I don't think Rek'Sai has pockets. I really don't think Rek'Sai has pockets. Okay. Revising that statement, that is another shutdown. Gold going into 2001's pockets. I'm assuming the player does. Yeah, there, that works. That works. That makes more sense. Anyways, the mid lane matchup. MSI, for those of you who watched that tournament, had a, well, identical matchup in terms of champions between Faker and I believe it was Pawn, who played Morgana in the mid lane. Now, up until MSI, up until this match against EDG, Faker had a 100% win rate with LeBlanc in competitive, which is impressive for anyone on any champion. But that right there, that interaction, where Epic Shots managed to land that guaranteed binding as LeBlanc dove in, because Distortion always sends you flying in a straight line towards the enemy if you use it on an enemy, Morgana can very easily counter that by landing a binding. Not to mention the Spell Shield is just straight up useful against someone who wants to burst you down. So the matchup is really, really strong, and it's kind of what allowed EDG to get ahead there. Angika, I think that's how you pronounce that, is going to go down with a failed warding trip into the enemy jungle. Oh, that's not even the enemy jungle, that's his own jungle. What am I talking about? Well, that goes to show you how much control Red Team's starting to take over the map here. The binding misses, and Faker's going to see his opportunity and take it. There is no room for mistakes when laning against this guy. Lands a Sonic Wave onto the wrong one, chooses not to take the Resonating Strike in. I have a candy, he's going to be flashing forward. There is another Sigil. Doesn't quite have the damage under the turret, though. Faker overestimating, perhaps, the amount of damage that that Sigil pop would have done. Without ult or another distortion available, he's not going to be able to take down this Lee Sin, and that's a little bit of a wasted flash there, to be perfectly honest, because Central Time's still going to be able to just sit around and farm here. Oh, there's another Chain and Sigil. I have a candy, going to be getting the kill, actually, and gets executed by the turret. Good lord, Faker is going mad in this mid lane at this point. 3, 2, and 1, and one of those deaths doesn't really count that much, you know? Because there wasn't even any champions nearby to take advantage of the XP that he just gave off when he died. It's kind of weird how things just, like, give off experience when they die. Even if you aren't involved with the kill at all, you still get the XP. You still learn from the death of everything around you in this game. That's just how people learn in League of Legends. I suppose in, like, Runeterra, all scholars must inherently just be murderers, going around killing things to learn of them. That's a really morbid thought, and we're going to go on to this fight in the top lane, where Covert Cabbage is going with the stun onto Toontown, but 2001 is around the corner, as he very often is up here in top lane. I don't know if the ulti's going to be enough. It will be. 2001's on a rampage. Or it won't be, rather. 2001 is on a rampage. Epic Shots looking for a roam to the bottom side. I can't really blame the guy. Mid lane not been going too great for him. Does land a beautiful binding onto Wild Turtle. That is how you play Morgana 101 right there. Roams are amazing because she can push out the mid lane with that really, really powerful wave clear that the Black Soil gives you. Looks like Faker was able to push back decently well, understanding what he has to do here to try and even up that successful roam is just get as much damage under the turret as possible, and more importantly, get as many minions killed under that turret as possible. Nice hook onto Mad Life, but it's not really going to result in much, as the Flay is necessary, as well as a heal to keep 2001 away. Faker's going to get a lot of good damage in there, and as I said, kill a lot of minions off as well, but there's the binding counter under the turret, along with the ulti. Epic Shots deservedly tossing up the champion mastery there. When you 1v1 Faker, that is a acceptable time to show off your champion mastery emote. Even if you are on a almost perfect counter pick to his champion. Wild Turtle flashing away from the binding. Here comes another flash from Mad Life, and that'll be shutdown gold going over to the greedy support. Covert Cabbage comes in for the stun underneath the turret. Has Central Time to back him up, but it's not really going to amount to much anyways. And Mad Life, looking for some vision control, is going to be able to help his team out in taking down that mid lane turret. Well, Covert Cabbage and Central Time set up for a fairly orchestrated tower dive. Covert Cabbage gets the kill. Pardon me, folks. Oh, here comes Faker, though, from the back. Cleans up at least one kill back for his team. Always in the right place at the right time. And that's actually something I'm a little bit surprised at. The fact that really was kind of the first roam for Faker's LeBlanc here. Covert Cabbage now getting dove underneath the turret. I don't know if Mad Life can really tank out more than 1 or 2 shots. He gets out with barely any health left, but Jax cannot say the same. 2001 is unstoppable at this point. 5-0-2. I feel like I haven't given enough credit to this Rek'Sai. So there you go. Take that credit. It is well deserved. 5-0-2 is an impressive scoreline to have, especially moving only into 13 minutes here. There's that completed Spellthief's Edge. Going to be getting some vision onto Faker, but vision is not what he needed there. He needed damage. Oh, he finally has it in the end. Epic Shots gets the kill. That was more damage than I anticipated coming out from a 4-4 Morgana who built into a Spellthief's Edge rush. It just goes to show you how much power is actually in that item. I mean, seriously, look at the inventory here. You're not seeing anything other than a Spellthief's Edge and Ionian Boots. The Doran's Ring, I suppose, does matter as well. Every little bit counts, but that was nearly base damage Morgana taking down a LeBlanc. That's a lot of damage. I don't really need to say much more than that, to be fair. Toontown now, down to a few hundred hit points, but he's going to be able to escape with his life. He's actually turning around and go back into this fight. Lands the stun of the Covert Cabbage. Might be paying for that one pretty dearly. Central Time comes in for the double kill. Getting the shutdown gold as well onto the enemy Rek'Sai is going to be pretty damn impactful. Epic Shots is looking to try and land a shot here. Mad Life neatly sidesteps that one, though. I Have a Candy comes from the side. Ethereal Chain's not going to connect. Forces a flash from Epic Shots, though. Ooh, beautiful binding mid-distortion. There's the Sonic Wave, following up with the Resonating Strike. Central Time is going to force Faker back. Whirling Death doesn't quite connect. It's just going to be whirling, I suppose, at this point. No death. It might actually connect. I think it just, yeah, it hit Rek'Sai on the way back. It did a thing! Good job, Draven! You did about 50 damage, it looks like. Well played. Not the intention, I'm imagining. Epic Shots. Flying away to safety on the Dark Passage, but way too low to stick around. I imagine he's going to be basing quite soon. This is a swift distortion forward from Faker would be enough to finish off that kill. It looks like he's more intrigued by the blue buff. Epic Shots will be basing anyways. And the blue buff will be going down anyways. Faker nearly didn't get that, actually. That almost just went down to the ambient damage from Rek'Sai's Cinder Hulk, which I believe is what he's got there. It's a little bit tough to tell, as I'm recording this over a video of the gameplay, so I can't actually interact with the spectator overlay here. All of that sorting of the champions and such was done by Epic Skillshot himself. He is a very nice guy, making things so easy for me. He just sends me the video, I talk about the video game, and then you guys get to listen. He really does all the work here. Like, give that guy mad props. So many props. Mad amounts of props. Anyways, I'm not sure what a prop is. Aside from the theater usage of the term. Covert Cabbage getting chunked really low. And that's not even the Trinity Force completed yet. For Toontown's Aurelia. That's a big power spike that Red Team is still waiting on. And speaking of power spikes, I mean, we've got the Youmuu's Ghost Blade completed for Wild Turtle, which is a really interesting item as it is. Oldie but goodie for that sort of assassin Twitch gameplay. And speaking of assassins, Lichbane completed for Faker. An interesting first item choice on LeBlanc, though with all of the item changes, it's always going to be interesting to see what he goes. Just given that it's a preseason, item builds are just an interesting thing nowadays in and of themselves, basically no matter what people build. Looks like we might have a bit of a fracas ready to form up here in the top lane. As once again, Epic Shots shows off his champion mastery that is now visible to both teams, so it is usable as a taunt alternative instead of using Morgana's, frankly, quite wonderful laugh sound effect. You can also just show them that you have played quite a bit of that champion. Binding over the wall in 2001, who is rather tanky at this point. You know, I mentioned a lot of item builds, but I didn't get around to this Rek'Sai, who's 6'1" and 2, and thus has some of the most important item choices in the game. When you're carrying, it really, really matters what you're building. Oh, Wild Turtle getting dove underneath the turret here, going to take a big chunk of damage. Net Crash, though, forced to flash away from 2001, who flashes to follow him. Faker now coming over the wall is going to seal the deal onto this kill of a Draven. And Covert Cabbage is going to regret teleporting into this fight. Goes down for the second kill in a 2-for-0 trade in favor of Red Team, who are beginning to snowball. A bit out of control here. Madlife neatly sidesteps once again another skill shot. I feel like that's just a line I can add in the majority of situations in this game. Madlife neatly sidesteps X or Y or even Z in some cases. I mean, the guy's good enough to get away from anything. Any letter of the alphabet I could put at the end of that sentence. I'm sure Madlife could dodge it. As top lane turret is almost certainly going to go down here. Or perhaps not. Amjika is around to try and defend it. Toontown's going to be happily able to dive this Thresh, though. The box will lock him out of the kill. And what the heck was that? That was just a very strange interaction of all the varying abilities that went off there. But in the end, it is a dead Aurelia. Faker looking to clean up maybe a kill or two will get spotted out by the blue trinket and reconsider his decision at that point, given that there are 4 enemies and a tower to dive under. Perhaps a bit too much for him to take on at once. Meanwhile, we do have Jax on the bottom side of the map, taking a dragon. That's something to take note of here. Covert Cabbage living up to his name in the first half of it, at least. I'm not sure if the man is a cabbage. He could be a cabbage. He would be a very dexterous cabbage to be able to be playing League of Legends. Anyways, Nakash going to be going down in the top lane. Not really much I can say about that one. Was way too far forward for reasons unbeknownst to me, as the camera wasn't showing me it. And that's going to be a rampage there, I believe, for Wild Turtle. No, not quite for Wild Turtle. Who got that rampage? Is that Madlife? Yes, that's Madlife. 4-0 and 3 Zyra. Showing up pretty big here. Wild Turtle's actually 2-3 and 3. And perhaps it's just the nature of the champion he's playing. You know, Twitch is very, very easy to punish if a punishing situation opens itself up. Though the same can be said of Zyra. So, you know, really, not gonna make a judgment call one way or the other, as I don't believe I've seen too many of the kills that Madlife has been involved in. The camera seems to have a bit of a love for this LeBlanc here. And we're focusing in once again on the mid lane. 2001 taking the front line, going to be knocking off Amjika, who's forced to flash away, but the F-Fuel chains will proc anyway. The Ignite burning onto him won't be enough to finish him off, but the Distortion will. Faker will pay for that one with his life, though, in a 2v1, or a 2-for-1, rather, trade in the mid lane. Going in favor of blue team, actually. Or red team, sorry, pardon me. There's the double knockup from 2001, though. Beautifully played. Covert Cabbage now incredibly squishy as he did build damage out of the top lane. Playing for that late game, but it may be too little too late. As Red Team now with another kill under their belts. will shove out that mid lane. And speaking of item builds from earlier, I'm really... I mean, the Guinsoo's Rage Blade on Jax has been proven this patch to be some really, really high tier stuff. Like, that is a very, very strong item on Jax. There is no debating that. But because of the way this game went, I don't think it was a good rush. And now, snowballing out of control, this mid lane is just getting torn to pieces. There's another double knockup from 2001. Morgana goes down, Central Time trying to salvage something. Covert Cabbage will at least slay Toontown. 2001, though, with another knockup on the Central Time, will make his way out of there safely. Wild Turtle will slow them both up. There's another snare. There's some more damage coming in from the side, and suddenly Blue Team has lost so very much. And Red is snowballing this out of control, almost. That was a series of mistakes, one after another, a series of unfortunate events, if you will, that resulted ultimately in one very unfortunate event, the inhibitor turret going down. Thankfully, no inhibitor yet. That is the far more impactful one of those two. But the inhibitor turret is pretty cool beans. I would be happy with those beans, regardless of how they're cooked. Meanwhile, Faker going to be taking down a smaller objective of his own here in the bottom lane, and just lengthening that gold lead. 33 to 42k is a pretty sizable difference. Covert Cabbage with the Guinsoo's is going to at least take down that top lane turret, but he's going to be dying once again for his effort, and the 2 and 6 Jax is really just not impressing me at this point. I don't know of a kinder way to phrase that. I don't think building more damage is the right choice here. He's got a Bilgewater on top of the Guinsoo's. He's playing for the late game, but I don't see this game reaching anywhere near that late, as we have a 1v1 by the mid laners on the wrong portion of the map, but the 1v1 still ends up in a draw. Which is really neat, actually, if you think about it. Because Faker has been playing as well as Faker can be usually expected to play here. Perhaps a little bit under par, but it is a solo queue game, not a tournament match, so that's expected. But simply by virtue of how well Epic Shots picked his champion here, very, very high skill floor there, having to click on the right champion during the game, but simply by virtue of picking the correct champion to counter LeBlanc, he's holding even here. But in this team fight, I don't think Blue is going to be holding even for very much longer. 2-for-1 trade now with Mad Life, Godlike, and Central Time trying, most likely futile. Most likely futilely? That's not a word. Most likely in a futile manner to escape. But he does actually manage it, as Red Team thinks it's simply not worth the effort to chase down the Blind Monk, who comes in from the side to taunt them a little bit longer, but perhaps he should not have done so. Forced to use Dragon's Rage to kick away 2001, as Blue Team is attempting to hold the secondary turret out here with just a few members, and Faker is going to make them pay for this perhaps unwise decision. Instant shutdown onto Central Time there. A bit more gold into LeBlanc's pockets, who I believe might have pockets. I'm not sure. Most of her clothing seems to be in the form of a cape. Unsure if capes have pockets. We'll do further research on what champions have pockets and which ones do not. Oh no, Toontown. That is a very, very dead Aurelia. As Epic Shots uses the chains just to finish it off there. Distortion away from Faker. Distortion back in from Faker. And Covert Cabbage will be once again slain. And, I don't want to harp on it, so I will no longer comment on this Jax build, but I still just, one more time, want to say that I don't think the damage was the answer here. I have a Candy. Gonna be going in under the turret, doesn't quite get a kill to go alongside his Candy, but here comes 2001, the Zhonya's Hourglass is gonna save Epic Shots from that knockup, but it will not be saving this Lee Sin, who goes down to Faker's pretty obscene amount of damage at this point. Morelos and Lichbane for a bit of utility and a tiny bit of extra damage added in there. And then a needlessly large Rod and Blasting Wand, which are most likely going to be turned into a very fancy, very deadly hat. And basically stemming all from that series of lost skirmishes in the mid lane, Blue Team has fallen further and further behind, and this is how Preseason 6 usually looks, because there's more ambient gold, because of the changes to a lot of the different AD carry champions, a lot of items even, because of many, many factors all combining together, which would take me multiple videos even to simply begin explaining. And I don't know if I would do the best job there even. Games are much, much shorter. Games are much, much more snowbally, and that is on display almost nowhere better than this particular game right here. Central Time going to be going in with the Flash Dragon's Rage, knocking Faker backwards, but I don't think it'll be quite enough. As off to the side, Red Team is slaying some dragons of their own. Wild Turtle going to be coming in with the Spray and Pray, or Rat-a-tat-tat, whichever one you prefer. Gets a kill onto Lee Sin. LeBlanc finishes off Thresh. And there's the flash over the binding. Faker will trade once again, 1-for-1, with the enemy the enemy Morgana, rather. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. Covert Cabbage will, try and fondly remember the good old days of this game 12 minutes ago, when he could farm in top lane safely, but that is no longer the case, Cabbage. Your patch is no longer safe, my friend. That's going to be Baron #1, going down 26 minutes or so into the game. I don't see any contest here from the basically bottom lane of Blue Team, which is all that's remaining right now. We did actually just see Central Time revive. I don't think he'll get there in time to contest this, though. And no Draven ulti means there's absolutely no shot for anyone but Red Team to pick up that Baron. And there is no better word than suffocation to be used to describe what is going on with Blue Team right now. It started out slow, as asphyxiation does, but it is steadily becoming more and more deadly. And Blue Team is steadily becoming more and more locked out of this game. That was another really morbid comparison right there. I'm not sure why I'm so morbid today, folks, but I apologize. Wild Turtle neatly sidestepping that coconut. Avoids the enemy team getting vision of him there. Though with the pink ward in the bush, they already had it. Oh, good lord! There's that damage from Epic Shots. The Zonias might be able to save him from this Ignite, but Greynote will pick up the kill, or rather, Mad Life. And that is a legendary Zyra support. I would just like to give props there, where props are due. Mad Life not having died once in this game. On Zyra, that's a bit of an accomplishment, especially against a team with a good amount of mobility and damage. But at this point, they have been reduced to nothing but smithereens, which is an awesome word that I should use more. Covert Cap is going to get knocked up in the air and taken down for a ride. Amjika going to be following him on that ride. Neither one of them wanted to go on it. But there you have it. That's the mid lane inhibitor going to be falling. Wild Turtle doing a bit of a cat and mouse chase. Or rat and blind man chase. Doesn't quite have the same ring. Nekresh will be falling even on his own fountain. And this game is as good as done, folks. Unless Epic Shots can truly do something epic right here. Once again, no relation to the channel you're currently watching. Epic Shots is entirely a coincidence in name. Even though I do know you're on Epic Skill Shots' channel, probably. Unless someone stole the video, which I don't know why. Please don't do that. Don't steal. It's not nice. I don't see the motivation behind that for this particular video, though. That's not quite game, though. I called it a little bit too early. It may as well be, for the most part. I suppose they do have something of a late-game composition here, but that's the surrender vote. And my musings turn out to be pointless, as I really anticipated them being. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Octavian. This is Epic Skill Shots channel. This is Free Mike. And if you enjoyed that, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, leave some comments telling me how we can maybe improve, or just telling me if you liked it, or didn't. Whatever. And I hope I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, folks.